Hello, it's Fran Davidson from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is my monthly update for October 2025. The monthly update is always a halfway-ish through the month look at what's going on in light of the numerological chart and also just energetically. What's interesting about this month is that the chart carries 5 master numbers. That is a lot. One master number, especially if you're born with master numbers, can be more than enough. So 5 visiting really does up the ante on the need for a spiritual focus, and therefore the need to allow or acknowledge, enable, make room for universal will, the big picture that is over and above anything that any of us can fathom at any time, especially if we're just getting on with our day-to-day life. So what is a master number first? A master number can be any number that repeats, as in an 11, 22, 444, 6666. It doesn't have to be like, yes, if a number is longer, which very rarely happens in numerology, usually numbers, if we're talking months and years, or even dates of birth and lives, you might get into the hundreds, but you don't tend to get beyond that. And that usually is only at reality number level, depending on the name and the length of it. So what am I trying to get at? A master number can therefore be any digit that has a repeating number again and again alongside itself. So again, 11, 222, etc. Master numbers can also be any number that has a 0 in it, because 0 is quite powerful in itself. There are other karmic numbers which are also called master numbers, and they can be numbers like 16, 19, some say even 13 is a karmic number. So master numbers add to the spiritual dynamic. They can be periods that see things more invisibly laden, energetically loaded, in a way that therefore increases the volume of the invisible reality, and therefore the energetic or intuitive reality that someone experiences. So again, and especially if you have master numbers in your chart, a period that is high in master numbers can just make things more unknown, more mysterious, more, okay, stuff's going on, but I can't make sense of it, or I can't get my head around what's going on because it's not as if it's tangible enough right now, whether that tangibility comes by way of knowledge, insight, information, understanding, or whether even that tangibility is delivered through things like, I don't know, cash flow, or people actually walking up and saying, I agree with you, or I don't agree with you, or this is where we're at. So master numbers, especially with zeros, carry with them an extra an extra level of intangibility, which can really do mindful self's head in, and therefore egoic self's head in, which of course involves all of us. If we look at this month's chart, we have 3 10 ones. Now, 10 is interesting because it's 1 with a 0. Where do you start? 1 as a period can feel more alone than usual. Even if you are completely surrounded by people all of the time, 1 can be a place that positions you and everybody else in a way that, not connecting as well as we usually do. That doesn't necessarily mean disagreements or conflict. Again, all it can mean is, there's not enough certainty about how people are feeding back to me or communicating, coming forth with what they usually do. So even the world's best communicator in a 1 period can feel it a bit disconcerting. And the reason why a 1 period carries out in this fashion is because, in a sense, 1 is the time when we get to know ourselves again. And on a spiritual level, we might know ourselves, but how much of that is based in habit or pattern or even expectation? How much of that is lining up according to the model that we embrace or the persona that we're trying to project, even unconsciously? So any number as a period asks us in one sense to move beyond the surface, beyond the egoic or the character, the costume that we're in. Not necessarily because it's a negative or a bad one, but just because all numbers and all moments really, they are about spiritual being, not just the day-to-day get ahead and live the model of success or achieving or life as we know it on a more sort of you just do that, don't you? So master number periods up the level of challenge to the model, challenge to the habit, challenge to the norm that the self is used to experiencing. And that's not necessarily because the self is grossly out of alignment with flow or with life or even itself. It's just that master number periods are almost the universe's way of saying, hi, I'm real. I'm here to show you all over again who you are, what the landscape is, what the potential is, and therefore how much more you can be tapping into if only you can let go of yourself, your narratives, your expectations, your projections, your predictions, all of the above, in a way that helps you see more, understand more, release more, and actually embrace more as a forward and fulfilling manifesting flow. That is one. If we then add a 0 to it, 0 spiritually can mean a few things, but in particular it can mean more space. As a lived experience, that can play out as more silence, less definiteness, less therefore certainty, confirmation. So 10-1 can be a period that makes the self feel rather wobbly, but, especially because everything's still in the air, or everything is more up in the air than it usually is. And so usually egoic self, and egoic self isn't negative, it's just mindful, I know self, that is so busy knowing that it doesn't actually see life as life is playing through in that moment. Life is very communicative as an energetic flow. But of course, as individuals, we can get used to things. We can also believe that life's supposed to flow like this, isn't it? So even if we try not to, in those moments, we can start expecting life to flow in particular ways without even knowing that we're doing it. Again, here comes a master number period that, in a sense, is tasked with exploding those expectations or those projections, those assumptions, in a way that says, you know what? This is what life is right now. This is what's happening right now. And you're not going to see that until you really let go of yourself. Not because you reject you, but because, let go of everything that is filling space in a way that isn't allowing you, isn't enabling you to actually see what life's trying to show you as a cue, as an invitation, as a furtherance of opportunity, and therefore as a really good movement forward. So 10-1 in a sense can feel a bit lonely. It can really trigger questions in the individual that is about, why is this happening? What am I doing wrong? Why isn't life sinking in all the ways it usually does, or in the way that I know it can? I can feel it. I can feel that this is going to happen, but it's not. 10-1 can also feel like a place where we feel more socially or even communicatively disconnected from others, not because we're not trying to engage, but more because, again, the universe doesn't want our sphere to just be happening in a way that's just, fine and dandy. It's about through the space, through the nothing, the more is discovered that actually enables the manifestation of physical lived more is as a dynamic that feels right, is right, and actually attracts more of the right stuff. The other master numbers to look out for this month is 11-2, so that increases the messages around the one. One is also know yourself, be yourself, represent yourself, back yourself. Know that there's nothing wrong with you, even if life feels a bit wobbly. Wobbles are only about the fact that the universe is trying to speak to you from an angle that you're not quite hearing yet. and in a way that therefore you're being asked to reposition with life in a way that you make more room for it to speak. When I say speak, obviously what I'm not trying to say is, okay, we have to wait for voices to come, even though some people hear those things, but more about insights, ideas, realizations, even imagery, the sense of what I need to do, or even the sense of, why is this happening right now? So in a sense, this period, this month, is about magnifying space in a way that you might be feeling as coming across slightly jarring, slightly uncomfortable, more uncertainty. But to the degree that that's happening, it is the universe trying to say, you know what, I'm real. I'll communicate with you however I can, whether that's in a dream state or whether that's in living moments, whether that's intuitively or whether it's because, hello, I just saw that billboard sign and it helped me realize, or that person just said something, or even that person just called and informed me. There are so many ways that nothing becomes everything if we allow it. So in short, this is a powerful month. It is a powerful month that is about rebirthing how we're interfacing with life, how we're interfacing with ourselves in a way that enables us to do more, be more, stretch into the more that we're ready to be, so as to even manifest, co-create, share and offer and receive the more that wants to come now. So travel well, go gently. If you've been feeling it, in part, the job is to take care of yourself. The job is to ease up on the expectations, not because you deny them. It should never be a case of abandon your goals or your mindset as something to be devalued or dismissed, rubbished. But in a sense, these periods, they ask us to suspend judgment. Not deny it, but to suspend it. In that sense, therefore, especially a period that has 3-10 ones, it asks us to, you know what, can you just stop pressing? Can you just stop pushing and pulling? Can you just sit back and watch for a minute? Can you actually just sit back and watch? So in a sense, that's a bit like watching television or a movie. When you sit in front of a movie, you're not sitting there willing the movie to happen in a particular way. You're actually allowing the film to show you what it wants to show you. This is the trick. This is the stance that October 2025 is asking us all to adopt, sometimes in ways that are feeling uncomfortable, but it's only doing that to create the room for an insight, for a realization, for that gut feel that says, you know what, now I understand what this is about. Now I know what to do with it. And from there, you're off into next month. So travel well, enjoy the period, make space, nurture yourself in that space. Yeah? Never go to negative. There is no problem. Take good care, travel well, visit my website if you'd like to get in contact for any reason. And thank you very much for tuning in. All the best.